Stunnanti divyaistavaihi Vedesangapadakramopanishadaihi Gayanti yam samagaha Vyanavastita tadgatena manasa Pashyanti yam yoginaha Yasyantam na vidusura suragana Devaya tasmai namaha. This morning, I'm going to share with you some very interesting thoughts. In fact, while thinking over these verses that we have been sharing in this 12th chapter, certain ideas came, and I'll share with you. Please see this very clearly. In the beginning of this 12th chapter, please listen nicely. Arjuna asked the question, O Lord, which one is better? People, those who are totally all the time contemplating on you, devoted, contemplative, reveling in you as everything, or another set of people, what you call as the nirguna upasana, anirdesyam, avyaktam, kutastham, achalam, dhruvam, samupasate. Those who contemplate upon, revel in the formless, absolute, immobile, all-pervasive. And some people, those who revel in the form, in totality, therefore there is devotion, surrender. Between these two types of people, saguna upasaka as well as nirguna upasaka, who is better? Tesam ke yoga vittama, those who really know what this yoga is and who is better. Bhagavan naturally, as we saw it yesterday, first he says, of course, those people who are contemplating on me are nice. But he did not say this is better or worse. Because the next verse very nicely says, those who are contemplating upon the formless absolute, let us not talk about them. They also mameva prapadyante, they also come to me. They of course come to me. Now, both are fine. Listen carefully. Before we get into the Saguna Brahma Ishvara and Nirguna Brahma, the Absolute, you start with your physical body. This is the idea which was really nice as I was sitting down this morning. to, as usual, I always try to make it very simple for somebody to grasp it. How do you grasp it in a simple way? The Saguna Brahmopasana, Nirguna Brahmopasana, formless absolute, all forms. If you want to really appreciate it, again go back to you as the individual and take this language of happiness. Please see this. Already you have seen these things very clearly, so it will be very, very easy for you to grasp it and keep it in its right perspective. First thing, nobody can appreciate Nirguna, formless absolute, in the beginning, because as when we are born as human beings with this physical body, our life doesn't begin with the awareness of the formless absolute. It begins with all forms. Sounds of various kinds, touches of various kinds, forms of various kinds, smells of various kinds, tastes of various kinds. And all these perceptions also are facilitated by a physical body which is, of course, a solid, tangible form. As a child, I don't begin with a mind. I am conscious of my physical body. People take care of this body, adore this body, love this tiny little bundle called the physical body. The child I grew up. Think. So the language of the senses, perception, body becomes very clear. Everybody is familiar with that language. And then, please see that, and then as we are growing up with the physical body, sensations begin. We cannot escape the sensation of various kinds. Sounds, touches, taste, sight, smell. And among all these varieties of sensation you are picking up as a child, sight and sound is very dominant. And of course the child starts tasting everything, puts everything in the mouth. These things are, we are starting with these type of things. Now, when these sensations begins, there are comfortable sensations, uncomfortable sensations. Whichever sensations are comfortable, the voice of the mother, cuddling of the mother, somebody giving you good food, nice taste, sweet and other things. All those things, very comfortable sensations, and as we grow up, we conclude that as the happiness. Happiness means, for average individual, a comfortable sensation. Very nice music, I'm so happy. Lovely weather, I'm so happy. Sensation, cool and night. Lovely sunrise, beautiful mountain, so many birds, I'm so happy. The taste of this food, divine, I'm so happy. The fragrance of the fresh rose, so happy. That is how, please understand, his life begins. In this, you can now take three statements, you can say three levels you can make. One is gross sense object, other one is subtle sensation, and the last one is the happiness itself. Since you have already explained what happiness is yourself and all that, it will be very easy for you, yourself. Three things: gross sense object, sensation at the level of the senses, the subtle, and the happiness. Object of happiness, listen carefully. Whichever object facilitates a sensation, concluding that sensation as happiness, we think that object is an object of happiness. Are you getting that equation? Object is there. When it gives us a nice sensation, I conclude that sensation as happiness. Since that object provides that sensation, it becomes object of happiness. That is how we fall in love with the object, we demand the object. I want to listen to the sound again, listen to the music again. I want that blanket or touch. I want that cool climate. I want this sight to be repeated. I want to see that again. I want to taste that again. I want to smell that particular perfume or fragrance again. Those things becomes your object of happiness. From these you can make out, listen, saguna, nirguna. When the object of happiness is saguna, happiness as it is yourself is nirguna. Go from there, we'll go into the totality. Saguna is, in your object of happiness, gross, tangible object, saguna. Nobody sees happiness in the beginning of life. We see the object of happiness in the beginning of life. And because of that object of happiness, since we consider happiness is an object, or happiness is in the object. Listen, both way. If you say happiness is in the object, or happiness is an object, both way you get centered on the object. Saguna upasana begins. If you straight away tell the person happiness is yourself, you will not understand. Are you getting that point, please? If you tell the child you are the happiness itself, you don't need this musical instrument, you don't need a hug from me, you don't need the pictures or going around to see the sunrise, sunset, you don't need any food. Nobody will understand, appreciate. Nobody will understand. The whole world begins with gross, tangible object. Because your body also is gross and tangible. Your sensation begins with the sense organs, your sense organ coming in touch with the sense object. And sense organs being what they are, naturally extrovert, paranchi, khani, indriyani, paranchi. They are all extrovert. Tasmat param pashyati. Therefore, everybody looks out. Everybody is externalized. Understand? And once you are externalized, which is helplessly, understand? No child decides to be extrovert. Extrovertedness, natural to the growing baby. Please see this whole mechanism. Extrovertedness is natural to the growing human being. No child is going to sit down, I am the happiness itself. Neither if you speak the language also, you won't understand. Why? Perceptions are so overwhelming, sensations are so overpowering, and between the sensations, the uncomfortable sensations are hated, undesirable, nobody wants it. Comfortable sensations, everybody wants. So by the time you grow up, now we are like grown-up babies, stuck with a sound, a touch or a taste or a smell or a sight. So this is what comes, what we call as an effortless obsession, cultural obsession, social conditioning, a particular food in a particular society, a particular dress in a particular society, a particular song, music, whatever you are growing up with, in whichever part of the world. Your objects of happiness, objects of obsession can vary. But in obsession, there is no east and west, south and north. That is human. Everybody gets involved with that. Saguna Upasana begins. Object of happiness now worshipped. And what is the devotion? Listen carefully. What is the devotion? Between the object of happiness and the happiness as such. I want it. Now you are just like somebody will bring it to God later on. Just like somebody is praying for God, now you are praying for the object. I want that object. I want to listen to that sound. I want to have that touch. I want to have that smell. I want to have that. Now you are helplessly, you become a devotee of the object. So much so, by chance somebody says, listen carefully, please observe. So much so, you become such a devotee of a sound or a touch or a taste or a smell or a sight, you become such a great devotee of the object, by chance somebody introduces you to a God in a particular form, you are not interested. Who wants God? Why? I'm happy. Understand? Are you getting that point? The moment you try to make an object out of a God, begins your secular and religious conflict. You are supposed to see God. If you see a movie, it is immoral or wrong. God is nice. If you love movie, you hate God. Are you getting that point, please? Just see that working. Now suppose you are watching, you are listening to a music, very beautiful music, but you are supposed to listen to only religious music, and you have no interest in that. If you love this other sound, you will hate that religious music. I am interested in, like that. Listen carefully. And in all these, not only individual sense subject, but as I told you, not only individual sense object, but a sound, or a sight, or an object of touch, or a taste, or a smell, but also two things, remember, the taste and the touch, food and the self, food and the human being, and a human person. Between the two, food is an obsession where all the five senses are involved. You know all these things. So many times I have explained to you. I don't want to get into elaborately. The food is something where all the five senses get involved, and touch, culminating in sex. The five things are also fully involved. When food you get from an food, an object, inanimate object, touch, sensation of sex, it can come from your body, yet another body. That another person becomes very important. Because child doesn't understand, the growing youngster doesn't understand, the pleasure you are getting is from your own body. You think the other person is giving. So when another person becomes very important, by chance you say, give up that man, give up that woman, hold on to God. If you like the man, you give up God. Are you getting that point, please? How, in a personal relationship, why it has become a godless world today? When the sensations run supreme, the secular attitude is, a living person is more important than some God. Think. Who is interested in God? Forget him. We'll see that later on, the God part of Saguna Nirguna. But please see how it is. So much so, when you hold on to the person or the object of a sound, understand, anything, you can take anything. Your obsession can be with a sound, that music only. You say, no, at that moment you are happy with yourself. If you love the sound, you are not interested in the happiness of yourself. That is why we saw Viveka Vairagya. Are you getting that? In order to be with yourself, Atma Gyan, as long as you have concluded happiness in the object, that long you shall never find happiness in yourself. Why? Your mind is not interested. Saguna Upasana. Are you getting that? Sound is loved. Understand? A particular sound is loved. So I love the waterfall. I love the flute. When you say sound the waterfall, you love the waterfall, you will love the nature. Suppose you love the flute, unconsciously you may love the flutist. That is why in music, all these Michael Jackson dead, now he's dead getting more money. People get obsessed with the musicians. Thousands of fans, dancing, going crazy. Why? They love music. And where from music come? From the musician. Therefore, if you love money, you shall love the moneyed man. Very sick joke. It's not a joke, it's a real incident, but it's very sick. You may think it is sick, but think. One boy goes to a club and sees a stunningly beautiful woman and goes up to her and says, see, I look ordinary. He tells the girl, I may look ordinary, but I am a multimillionaire. $200 million in the bank for me. My old man is 92. Maybe a few years. After that, I am the multimillionaire. Then this girl said, give me your card. Right. After 3 weeks, she became the stepmother. Because she knows, they call the gold digger, she knows this man will die. So I will get all the 200 million. What is the idea of marrying the boy? So if you love the money, dump the man. Are you getting that point, please? Simple. No, I'm just telling. Please think. If you love the food, whoever gives the food. If you love the whatever you like, whoever gives it becomes the object of your happiness. Think. So, that time somebody tells you, remove the picture of the musician, remove the picture of the person, and worship God. What will you say? Che. God is not wanted. Forget, long before you go to God, happiness is yourself, nirguna. Happiness is nirguna. Are you getting that point, please? Object of happiness is saguna. Are you getting that concept clearly? Object of happiness is saguna. Happiness itself is nirguna. Like, don't worry about the sounds of various kinds. Ultimately, when you listen to the sound, you become silence. So be with the silence. Tell to a children's class. To a children's class, introduce them to silence. What is the children will think you have gone nuts. What is this silence? 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20-year-old, what is this silence? Even adults don't like it. If you speak the language of silence, not torture. So nobody likes it. Oh, intimidation. This is unnecessary rigidity, unnecessary discipline. Why can't I talk? Why must you talk? Think, obsession. Why? Sound, sound, sound. Please go from this, we'll get into the absolute. It was a brilliant idea. I couldn't think anymore. Sort of, please see, we'll see. If you don't understand, ask me again, but make your life beautiful. So, object of happiness, saguna. Listen, object of happiness is saguna. The happiness as such is nirguna. And what is devotion? Thought in between. Thought in between creates your devotion to the object. Are you getting that? How do you get devoted to the object? With your conclusion that this object gives me happiness, therefore you shall be devoted to. Devoted to means what? Dependent upon. Listen carefully. That devotion will be two types. This is what you must see. If you don't see, raise your hand now, I will explain it again, okay? But please see, this devotion will be two types. First, let me generalize it, then I will go into particular. This devotion will have two types. One type of devotion is, now we shall see, like both the types you said. One type of devotion is, if I understand happiness as myself, happy. I am not dependent on any object whatsoever. Yet I am not nihilistic. There is no shunyam, there is no emptiness, no nothing. I understand I am the happiness itself. Another type of devotion is, while experiencing the sense object, I recognize the happiness in myself. Are you getting that? Two, nirguna upasana is being straight away with yourself. Saguna upasana is, are you getting that? Saguna upasana is, while experiencing a sense object, I remember myself. While experiencing the sense object, if you are being with yourself, are you bound or free? You are still free. So experiencing a sense object is not necessarily bondage. Are you getting that point, please? Must see it. So both upasanas are good. You understand the freedom? If you don't understand, go and hang yourself. What can I do? It's so sweet. Nobody takes away your freedom to enjoy anything in life, but learn how to enjoy. Rigidities, sense objects are all nonsense. Huh? Who said that? This is the only happiness. Suppose, see, Saguna Upasana, what is the mistake of the Saguna Upasana? If you equate, Ishvara, if you equate object itself with happiness, it becomes idol worship. You become fanatic. Are you getting that? You don't understand. My mind is not you going exploding. That's why I have to watch out and go slow, slow, slow. Mahadeva. You can be released in a second if you understand this principle. Appreciate. If you consider the object of happiness itself as happiness, there shall be a huge fight. Why? Your object of happiness is different from my object of happiness. If you want sound, I want touch. If you want touch, I want a sight. If you want sight, I want a smell. If you want a smell, you want a taste. So, my God, your God, my God, your God. Are you getting that point, please? Not only between the people, believers of different types of happiness, there will be fight, but sometimes you yourself have a problem. I know sound is good, but sometimes touches are also nice. But I am not supposed to be the touch. Why? I am committed to sound only. I enjoy the food, but sometimes this smell also is very good. Oh, no, but you should not be doing that. The moment you make object of happiness, understand, the moment you make happiness an object, it becomes saguna. Listen. But while experiencing the object, seeing something, tasting something, touching something, if you recognize yourself as the happiness, absolutely no harm. Saguna upasana. Most people will like that. Are you getting that point, please? Are you getting that point, please? Most people will like that. Why? Happiness as it is may be the highest ideal, may be absolutely interesting, but nothing like going through the sense object. Are you getting that? You understand why people are caught in that. I know clearly I am the happiness itself. But if while listening to music, it goes on there, it's so nice. Like people in meditation, no? Some people say, meditate. No sound, no touch, no taste, no smell, no nothing. Sit down quietly. So, not knowing how to be with yourself, you struggle. But another person says, meditation music. Quiet, little meditation music, cool air-conditioned room, soft light, atmosphere. Some people, atmosphere, they create it, then automatically your mind is seduced to stillness. And then what do you say? Ah, that music. If you conclude that time that music or that atmosphere, you become dependent on that. You become a fanatic of that a fanatic of that particular experience, devotee of that God. What? Music. Then that must be there repeated every time. But suppose you are happy with yourself, by yourself, no problem. But then also sometimes, and life is sound, touch, taste, smell, sight. So as you experience everything, in every experience you see yourself. In every sensation you see the happiness. In every perception you recognize yourself. That becomes upasana, saguna upasana. Where you do not lose sight of the nirguna even when you are with the saguna, with the object. Are you getting that point, please? So you saw the three levels? Are you getting that point? If you see the object as such, if you equate object as such with happiness, It is like equating God with the form. Are you getting the similarity? If you equate happiness with the object, it is like equating God with a form. Happiness is in the object, but don't say object is happiness. God is in every form, but don't say that particular form is God. Are you getting that point? Similarity. Happiness is in the object, no problem. Why? Every sensation, whether it is of a sound or a touch or a taste or a smell, it is myself, because Vishayanande Brahmananda. Vishaya Anande Brahmananda. In every sensation of the sense object, you get Brahmananda, yourself. That is why everybody is so crazy about sensation. Why do you want to listen to music? Is it for music's sake or happiness sake? Think of ordinary person. Think of ordinary people. Why are they desperate to listen to music? For music's sake or happiness sake? Oh, it makes me forget myself. Go to yourself. Why do you want to touch something or somebody? Oh, it leads to myself. Crazy. Why do you want to see something? Oh, it is so happy. Why do you want to hear something, taste something, or smell something? Because it brings you back to myself. Yesterday, the child, he went to somebody's room. I happened to be there. He is supposed to get a biscuit, but straight goes to cold drink. She is lost in the cold drink. She loves cold drink. Just think of a child, you are growing up. The baby, so cute now. You can see, that is what you observe children, you will know whether you are a grown-up or still a baby. He goes straight to the room and straight to the drink, that cold drink. I said, no, leave it. Oh boy. And I am telling, last man, last in authority. So after that she can't, she knows that also. Not that, she is so sensitive. No, I said, no, leave it. You ask and take, and you are cold. Now what is happening there? Who is driving her crazy? The little drinks there or the thought? Now it's fully devoted to the object. Fully devoted to the object. I like that cold drink. Fully devoted to the object. Now suppose mommy says, don't take it. What will say? Mommy, I hate you. Whoever prevents her, the baby, from getting the object, what shall you say? I hate it. Then immediately suppose another person comes and takes it. What the baby will say? Why can he drink? Why can't I drink? Because you are crying, you are not getting it. You are getting cold because if you don't know how to drink it. When you drink it, you get cold. Other one is drink it, nothing happens to you. If you know how to experience things, while experiencing everything, if you are happiness, you are happy with yourself, you are always free. But the moment you experience, if you want more of it, you are bound, therefore unfit. Obsession comes. Are you getting that? Devotion comes, obsession comes. That is why in the Vedic Upanishadic tradition, there are two types of upasana. One is Vedanta Shastra, other is Tantra Shastra. Vedanta Shastra talks about all renunciation, denial, all renunciation. Tantra Shastra will call involvement. In Vedanta Upanishads, when we talk about the tyaga, renunciation of it, because And usually for people we talk about renunciation. Why? Because involvement is a path which is fraught with little danger. Because if the person is not very matured, he shall lose himself in the sensation. That is why in the name of upasana, you can lose yourself in that. Understand? When you are experiencing an object, ask yourself the question, are you seeing the happiness in the object or in yourself? When you are experiencing a sound, are you happy with the sound or happy in yourself? You are experiencing a beautiful climate, cool climate, or the little warmth of the sun in the cold morning. Your conclusion is happiness in the sunlight, in the cool morning, or in yourself. Sensation is in the skin. Happiness in yourself or the skin. When you see something nice, ask yourself a question. The happiness is in the sight or in yourself? When you taste something nice, ask yourself a question. Happiness is in the taste or in yourself? When you smell something nice, happiness in the smell or in yourself? If your conclusion is, it is in the object, you shall be externalized and saguna upasana. This is not a upasana, it is only a dependence on the outside object. In the object of happiness, lost, completely lost. So long before, listen carefully, long before I see in the experience the happiness itself, first I must experience or recognize the happiness itself as my nature. In any moment of happiness, I am with myself. That is why you understand how important it is to go through the basic Tattvabodha classes. Without that, you cannot build on anything. You can't move into the infinity without beginning with 1, 2, 3, 4. It's so important. But religious studies means what? Straight away, God. Today we shall talk on God. Tomorrow we shall talk on this book, that book. What are you talking? Different types of practices. The basic foundation, the person himself is not introduced to himself. It's like the fellow is drunk, but you are putting him into driving lesson. You are not aware of yourself. The person is not aware of himself. What is he going to see? It is like upasana. A person one day sitting down in a call it mountain, wherever he is sitting down, and he is putting up a beautiful pot is there, and there is a reflection of the moon, and he is looking at it. Another person passing by, he says, what are you doing? He says, I am doing the upasana on the moon. He said, if your neck is broken or what? Why don't you look up and see the moon straight? Should you look at the straight of the moon or reflection of the moon? Huh? You are all laughing. Why? When the moon is shining, what is the idea of putting up a pot and looking at the reflection? Should you look at the happiness straight or the reflection of happiness? Now ask yourself the question. Get yourself hit. Laugh at yourself. If somebody is looking at the reflection of the moon, you are laughing at him. He's an idiot. So should you look at happiness straight or the reflection of happiness? If that much you understand, should you look at the God straight or the reflection of God in a form? Call it happiness, call it God, call it truth. All one and the same. At the same time, can you escape the body? Can you escape the creation? Cannot. So begin with the language of happiness. If I consider that happiness itself has the object, and the object itself has the, if I equate happiness with the object, or if I consider object itself as a happiness, you will be a fanatic devotee of the object. Understand? And you shall be so uncomfortable because you are supposed to hold on to that object, but you cannot hold on to that object. Why? But there are so many objects also giving me happiness. I was supposed to hold on to a sound, but the touch is also interesting. I'm supposed to hold on to a touch, but the sound, the taste is interesting. I'm supposed to hold on to the taste, but the smell is interesting. I'm supposed to hold on to the smell, the sight is interesting. Guilt comes. If you say, this particular form is God, then the guilt comes if you hold on to other form. Are you getting that point, please? Guilt comes. Heavily, the person becomes guilt-ridden, conflict-ridden. Why? This is supposed to be my God. How can you look at that one as the God? Same language. This is supposed to be my happiness. How can I look at something else as my happiness? Because you have made happiness an object. You make a God an object. Exclusive. If you make happiness exclusive in one form, you are finished. If you make God exclusive in one form, you are finished. When you see happiness in yourself, which is the object you should be with? Or the question is, which is the object I should not be with? You are happy to be with everything in this universe. Why? Happy to live, happy to die, forget other things. Other things are useless. They are anyway dying and going. Even if you want to hold on to an object, that object will disappear. If the object doesn't disappear, you disappear. But yourself always remains the same. So if you want to introduce happiness to the object, shall we begin with object or straight with happiness? Object only. Are you getting that point? That is why Saguna Vipassana is necessary. To introduce a person to happiness, shall we begin with perception, a thought, or straight away onto himself? You have to begin with the perception, sensation. And then introduce it to himself. Okay. Once you introduce to himself, now understand, are you understanding that language? Okay. Once you introduce to himself, listen carefully. Once you introduce himself, there will be two types of people. One person released once for all. He says, I am happiness itself. I don't need anything. Why? No problem. I am happiness itself. He is abhyaktam aksharam upasate. Happy with myself. But most people will be comfortable with sense object. While experiencing the sense object, be with yourself. Are you getting that point, please? Which will be easier for average person? Which will be easier for the average person? Straight away being with himself, or while experiencing the object, you are with yourself. In fact, what is this average now? Even a person who understands the happiness in himself, can he live in the happiness absolute? He has to live with the body, no. So he can't lose sight of the body. He has to take care of the body, he has to take care of the senses, he has to live with his creation. But he can choose to be. What is that? Using the object, there is a choice. If I have to depend on something or not to depend on something, that is your choice. But in reality, if you look at it, what choices you have got in breathing? Do you have a choice in breathing? Therefore, do you have a choice in smelling? Are you getting that point, please? So in every type of smell, you must see yourself. Listen carefully. Do you have a choice in eating? Do you have a choice in eating? What you eat, there is a choice. But you have to eat. To keep yourself alive, you have to eat. If you have to eat, do you have a choice in tasting? Can you say, I take the food on my tongue, but taste or not taste is my choice? Oh, you must be nuts. Can you escape the tasting? If you have to walk, you have to open your eyes. If you have to open your eyes, can you escape seeing different type of sight? Only road. So put blinkers, right? Only road. Why? Religious man. Are you getting that point, please? Even while touching something, you are eating some food. You touch it. Can you if you eat, can you escape touching? While you use a spoon. What about cold climate, hot climate? Anything shall be there. Cold climate, hot climate shall be there. Can you escape that? And you can escape the touch of another person. As an adult, you can escape the touch of another person. You need not touch somebody, somebody need not touch you. That's a choice. But touch sensation. Today's weather, how nice it is. Early morning, so cool. How do you feel? Abba, so nice. 12 o'clock? How do you do? You have to leave, no? Can you leave outside the space? Can you leave outside the cold and the heat? You cannot. So touch sensation, can you escape? But in every sensation, if I see myself as the happiness absolute, which sensation is good? Everyone. You don't depend upon anything whatsoever. Nirguna upasana, saguna upasana, both are fantastic. Shall you be with the object or without it? You choose. If Arjuna asks, between the two, which one is better? What can Krishna say? Shall I be in myself? Or shall I be in myself while living with the object? Are you with yourself? Yes, then don't ask me anything. Are you getting that whole point, please? Shall I be with myself? So I want to always meditate. Okay, meditate, why not? But shall I be with myself while being with the object? What choices you have, if you know yourself? Right. But if you say, shall I be with the object and forget myself? You will get it from all sides, don't worry. If you forget yourself while being with the object, you shall be miserable. Do you know why? Either the objects will not be there or your interest is gone. Understand? Human beings, that is why you shall see when you go to people's room, what all things you see? Collections from 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, 80 years, all so many collections are there. The day they purchased it, they must have embraced it, touched it, hugged it, licked it to clean it. So obsessed. After 2 days, it's just like the baby. She wanted a doll. So I got a nice doll. What I got? Somebody gave me a doll. And what shall I do with the doll? People bring different type of things. It's good. Why? Because it's not that I should have everything. People bring sweet. So not that I should eat everything. Different sweet, I eat to different people. Same thing, the doll has come. Now who should get the doll? The baby or the adults? The baby gets it. And this lady came to my room. She saw this doll. Oh boy. The doll. She went crazy. She now not looking at me. She now looking at the doll. That one. I said, come on, be here. No, I want that one. All right. Anyway, it was meant for her. So I brought it. And the moment she got it, disappeared. Why? You saw yesterday, no, when Lakshmi was giving the clothes. When they got the 3 clothes, Abba. Why? Because that is her object, the happiness. Touch it. When I put it on my body, what does she do? Pulls it and takes it. Why? Think. With the baby, is stuck on the object. So holds on to it. How many days? I gave her a statue from Russia. Somebody had brought it. You know that statue inside, you know the small, the doll? In one doll there will be 4 or 5 dolls, similar. So I opened up one, excited. 5 dolls. Now, other day I was there, the doll was somewhere standing in the office. Then I said, hey, bring the doll, baby. So she bring the doll. Open, there's nothing inside. Only half a doll, really half of a doll. I said, what happened? Hathi, means some elephant took away. Nonsense. Think of it. No interest. What happened? First time when you get it, ooh. Grown-up babies, human beings. Your interest starts flagging. The moment you get it, finished, and sound, touch, taste, smell. How many things you have grown out of it? Your room has got so many things. The first day you purchase, you must have worshipped it. After some time, you don't even know where it exists. Same thing, human beings. How many people you can hang on to? Disappear. You're fed up inside. You're not interested. Why? Your own body, you are not interested. Think of it. But if somebody equates the object with happiness, what happens? He becomes a devotee of that object. So can you ask a question? So when you recognize your happiness, shall I be happy with myself or shall I see happiness while experiencing the object? What choices you have? Since living means living with the objects, do not lose sight of yourself while living with the object. Nirguna Upasana is too idealistic. It's like a person says, oh, I am always with myself. Right, always with yourself. So just because you are always with yourself, does it prevent you from being with the world? If it prevents you from being with the world, you are making it limited. So either the nirguna or the saguna. No. Being with the saguna, being with an object, you may lose sight of happiness. But being with happiness, you cannot lose sight of the object. Are you getting that point, please? Being with yourself, you cannot lose sight of the body, mind, creation, whole universe. But if you lose yourself in this, you can lose sight of yourself. Understand? As I am talking, are you seeing it in yourself? That equation. Understand? If you understand this language clearly, object of happiness is different from the happiness as such. Listen, see the dramatization. Object of happiness, happiness. Now I as a person, looking for happiness, but devotee of the object. Are you getting that? Both were there in the universe. Objects were there, happiness is there. I was not there. Why? I have a date of birth. This body has a date of birth. So I find myself in a universe where this body itself was not there. It might have in different form, but it did not exist in this form. So objects are there, happiness is there. But long before I see the happiness, I see the object. And when I see the object, I become a devotee of the object. Why become devotee of the object? Good sensation. Whichever objects do not give me good sensation, I am not the devotee of the object. And this sensation, good or bad, who says? You say. That is very subjective. That is why somebody loves the stink of the smoke, somebody hates the stink of the smoke. Somebody hates the bitterness of the liquor, somebody loves the bitterness of the liquor. Somebody hates the sound of music, somebody loves the sound of music. Everything everybody doesn't like. Everybody doesn't like a smell or a fragrance. Everybody doesn't like a taste. A particular food everybody doesn't like. Everybody doesn't like a sight. Oh, look at the sunrise. What is that to see sunrise? Some people will be there. Long back when I was in America, once we went to Grand Canyon. For a few days we went to Grand Canyon, Bryce Canyon, all these beautiful things, and come back, 5-6 days, came back. So the person with one gentleman had invited us for a dinner. I can never forget that night. So we all went there for the dinner, and then the lady of the house, very sweet Indian lady, and she saying, Swamiji, where have you been? I said, I went to Bryce Canyon, Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon? Why did you go to Grand Canyon? I said, what? It's so beautiful. He said, what is so beautiful? It's a big hole. That was her description of Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon is a big hole. Few stones here and there. You want to talk like that, you can do anything. Suppose somebody say, you want to see Amazon? Yes. But what is there in Amazon? Why? Some trees, some birds. What is there? You want to go? Yo, you must see London. What is there to see? Few buildings, few trees and parks. What is there? Anything you can make nonsense. Are you getting that point, please? See? So somebody can say, when somebody can write a song on an experience, other person say, what do you see there? Stupid. Yes. Subjective. Very subjective. Object is good or not good, only you decide. That is why if you are obsessed, your contribution is complete. If you are free, your contribution is complete. Choice is yours. Within object, there is neither bondage nor liberation, nor happiness or unhappiness. Sensation, you cannot escape. Listen to the sounds of the birds. Can you escape the sounds? Right. But to pay attention or not to pay attention is your choice. Some people pay attention to the sound of the bird, ignore the human sounds. Some people stuck on a human sound and forget these birds. Lust in money making, world is gone. Lust in the world, purposes are forgotten. So many things. Please. So, object of happiness, please see. If you equate, when you start seeing, tasting, you can't escape the sensations. And if you look at that as the happiness as such, then it become God. You lose yourself in too many gods. Listen carefully. You want to equate that? Please see that. Equate that. If each object of happiness you conclude as that each object of happiness is equated with the happiness, then what happens? You have got too many gods to worship. Some sounds, some touches, some taste, some smells, some sight, so many things. Another person says, no, TV is the happiness. Other things means guilt. How can you look there? How can you look there? How can you look that? This is the person only. Then what happens? Guilt. Can you see everything in one place? One who can, can you find somebody who can sing also, dance also, cook also, intelligent also, smart also, writer also, poet also, musician also. Can you see that such a person in the world ever existing? Naturally, you appreciate everything in every person. Think. Okay, if you lose yourselves there, this will happen. Either in one or in many. But when you see happiness is, as I experience everything, happiness is indeed myself. Then what happens? You are totally released. Every object is beautiful. Every object is beautiful. Then you decide. Shall I be with myself always? Or shall I be, while experiencing the sense object, shall I be with myself? Both are fine. The person who doesn't depend upon the sense object, of course, is extremely fine because no chance of losing or getting involved or losing itself. Whereas the person who takes this path of looking at himself while experiencing the sense object, there is a possibility of losing himself. Are you getting that point, please? There is a possibility. Why? Unconsciously, you may suddenly sometimes replace the object, replace the happiness with the object. Listen. Please listen. You be happy with yourself. You are in meditation, be happy with yourself. Other person, no, I want to listen to music and be myself. Yes, the teacher can say, yes. While listening to the music, you can be with happiness. You got the sanction, listen carefully. You got the sanction and you start listening to the music. Yes, beautiful. Next day, beautiful. Third day, if you say, sit down, but where is the music? Dependence comes. You are stuck. Unconsciously. You are introduced to mala. Now the mala is in the hand, the truth is forgotten. Why did you come to the teaching in the first place? To be the teacher or to be with yourself? The teacher you didn't know, no? Did you know the teacher before you come to teaching? Huh? Did you know the teacher before you came to teaching? No. Then how come now you are stuck on the teacher and teaching is forgotten? Did you know the book before you knew the truth? No. Did you come for the book or come for the truth? Of course I came for the truth. Then why are you lost in the book? Did you come to change your lifestyle or you want to see the truth? Did you come here to put on white clothes, white dress, white, everything white? Eh? Or everything yellow, or everything red, everything green? Some nonsense. Did you come for the uniform or you came for the truth? Did you come for the lifestyle or you came for the truth? I came for the truth, then why lost yourself in lifestyle? Think. That is why Bhagavan did not touch about the person of Nirguna Upasana. Arjuna, let him be, don't worry about it. Because that guy don't talk about. One who is absolutely happy with himself, any time, any place, any condition, it doesn't matter what objects he live with or doesn't live with. Absolute freedom. So much of freedom that other people can be afraid of that freedom. Other people can be afraid of freedom. Why? Because, understand, and the objects need to be needed. That is why human relationship becomes dangerous. Because the object, your car doesn't need to be needed. Suppose you don't take your car for 10 days out. Will your car say, what is this? I am parked in the garage for last 10 days. Did not even see the sunshine. Will the car complain to you? But suppose your husband or wife, same house 10 days. Big fight. Why? You didn't take me outside. That is a human relationship becomes crazy. Understand? You watch out. If you're happy with yourself, I don't depend on anything or anybody. Oof, leave that alone. But suppose another person says, no, even while seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, I'm with myself. That also is fine. But do not equate an object with happiness, whether it's a living or non-living. Are you getting that point, please? If these points are clear, move on to God. Ishvara. Previously, when I start my life, can I start with God as He is, absolute, all-pervasive? No. Somebody introduces me to a God in a particular form. Listen. Somebody introduces me to a God in a particular form. Any form it can be. The purpose must be, I introduce you to the God in that particular form so that you can see Him in all forms. Suppose that ingredient is missing in some culture or in any teaching or any communication, what will happen? You shall be stuck with that introduced form. A child in the geography class is introduced to a globe so that he can be introduced to the whole world, the entire world. But the child has to get stuck on the globe itself as the earth. What will happen? So when your tradition, your culture, your father, your mother is introducing you to some God, should it be to condemn that God to that particular form or in and through everything? Like, I begin with happiness in the object, but if I equate happiness with the object, I shall be destroyed for my life. Cannot escape starting with the object as the object of happiness. But redemption comes, freedom comes when I see happiness in myself. You cannot escape being introduced to the God, truth, infinity with a form. Then as you grow up, the little representation, symbol, you appreciate is all over, of which your body also is a part. But long before you are introduced to that, you are introduced first to yourself, because you start with your body. Do you start with your body or bodiless awareness? Body. Then from the body you go into individuality. Then on to yourself, the absolute. Once you are there, then the same thing you can appreciate about the Ishvara. In one form, yet he is also the formless absolute Brahman, all-pervasive. Appa, that's very good. What about his body? Not one body, but all bodies at his disposal. So in every form, I see Ishvara. Therefore this body falls flat. But the body has no sense. Devotion is not physical. Appreciation is not physical. That is why body has no sense of bondage, freedom, liberation, conflict, nothing. The whole physical universe is so beautiful. Individuality comes in with the conflict. Now it is gone. Why? Knowing himself who he is, you can see the consciousness everywhere. Nirguna Brahma Upasana, or everything together, Ishvara, of which everything is an inseparable part. Which one is better? Being yourself. See in and through everything, see yourself, or see Ishvara. But do not take an object itself as God, separate from you. Equation. See happiness in yourself, therefore happiness in all sensations. No problem. But never take an object itself as source of happiness. And again, different from you, looking for happiness all the time. Do not confine God to a particular form, different from you. So that is divine, you are mundane. No. That little form is as divine as this is. Everything is. But where does it begin? It begins with division, perception, sensation, thoughts, individuality. Go on to yourself. Then make the whole picture clear for yourself. Which one is better, Saguna, Nirguna? What form? Imagine cultures which exclusive, like saying, this is the happiness. So always away from me. Believe in it and then you will be happy. Believe in happiness, shall I be happy? Now what type of logic is that? Believing in a God, how can I be God? Just by believing in something you become that? Believing in happiness I shall be happy, or being the happiness I shall be happy? Do you see in being or believing? Being yourself, not believing that is the God. You begin with a belief if you feel like. What feel like? That is how it begins. But you go beyond. And somebody says, that is the only object of happiness. What a trouble. Anything can be object of happiness. Sound, taste. With what object shall you represent the happiness? Anything, anywhere. But where is that happiness? In yourself. So you are comfortable with yourself, comfortable with everything. Can you equate an object with God? You can start with that also. Which object? Any object. But ultimately, what is the truth? Yourself. Then where is God? In and through. Yourself is in and through everything. Like happiness in and through everything. But together, it makes it Ishvara. Just like my body, total body. Therefore, Saguna Upasana is like seeing the happiness in the object. Nirguna Upasana, seeing yourself as you are. Close your eyes, please. Just think over it and write it down. I want you to write down this, because I want to see what you are. Just please think of it. Write it down, please.